Welcome one and all to Geek Boulevard. Steve here with my latest movie review. I have officially seen Weapons, the latest horror film that has been the talk of social media, and of course, I'm here to give you my final thoughts on the film. This review will contain spoilers later on, but I will give you a spoiler warning, of course, before talking about those big story moments. And there are also timestamps I've included right down below for you to skip the spoiler section entirely and just get my final overall thoughts of the movie. So for now, you're safe. Weapons is written and directed by Zach Cregger. It is rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 8 minutes. When all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. That's pretty much all you get in terms of plot, but I was hooked from that first trailer and I loved Cregger's previous film, Barbarian, so I went into this with pretty high expectations. We're gonna start off with the good. Firstly is our main cast, and we're gonna start with Julia Garner, who is doing really well in the industry right now. Wolfman at the start of the year, then the Fantastic Four, First Steps, and now Weapons. She's quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with, and her performance in here is just so well done. She plays the teacher of the missing kids, Justine Gandy. She's a character that is dealing with a lot of grief and maybe some survivor's guilt of like this whole incident with the kids going missing, and it's caused her to cope by being basically a depressed alcoholic. Everyone is out to get her, everyone just hates her, all because of the fact that all of their kids that were in her class went missing, and so they think, well, she must know something. She's not some clean woman that has never done anything bad in her life. Seeing Garner present that struggle and asking those haunting questions like, why was it my class? Why does everyone keep attacking me for something that I genuinely did not do or have any knowledge of? She's a victim in this ordeal and wants answers just like everybody else. And how Garner conveyed those moments of vulnerability were very realistic and nuanced. Josh Brolin also crushed it in this, and it's, no surprise. He basically crushes it in everything that he does. I even loved him in Jonah Hex, despite all the bad things about that movie. He was not one of those bad things. And also being Thanos and Cable at the same time gives him a lot of credit with the nerds, so much respect there. But he plays Archer Graff, who is the father of one of the missing kids. It was reported actually that Pedro Pascal was originally going to play the character, but dropped out and Brolin replaced him. And thank God, because even though I love Pascal as an actor, seeing how Brolin portrayed this character, I think Brolin was the better choice as he presents a fatherly aura pretty well here. And I felt for him as he tries his damnedest to find answers and hopefully find his son, because nothing about this incident adds up or makes any sense at all. And when a parent loses a child, it's a pain unlike any other, I would imagine. I don't know if Pascal could have delivered the same, caliber of emotions of that specific character on the same level as Brolin, so again, great choice in casting. The story that these characters take part in, though, is without a doubt the thing I adored the most about this film. This is not a plot that is told from one character's point of view. This is a multi-perspective story where the film is kind of divided into chapters, and it makes the film have an effective pacing for it. At least I felt it was effective. But this could be a negative to some, and I'll get into that a bit later. But it felt like a captivating season of television where like each episode or each chapter focuses on a character, and by the end of each episode or the end of that character's chapter, you're left with these really effective cliffhangers that hook you into the next chapter until we eventually get to the finale or the climax of the film where all of our questions get answered. It's not a conventional way to tell a narrative film-wise, but it worked so well for this movie that each perspective was unique and engaging in its own way as we look into these characters' lives and we see them converge with other characters that we were just with previously. So I thought it was a really great and effective way to keep that mystery going. The creepy cinematography in here was definitely used to smart effect and only had those types of unsettling shots when necessary to really increase that unease. My favorite shot is when the camera zooms in on the front door of this house and it just stays there as the door finally opens and there's just darkness, like no one's stepping through the doorway. But the camera then zooms out and pans and doesn't cut for a second that entire time. And the scene that just kind of plays out during those moments was really creepy, and it made me really uncomfortable. So kudos to the cinematographer Larkin Seipel, I think that's how you say his name, for helping to create a really unsettling tone. Now that we got the good out of the way, it's time to get into the bad. Personally, I really enjoyed the pacing of the film, but due to the different perspectives, it might turn some people off. The way that these chapters are kind of laid out is that a character shows up, we get some dialogue, we get some backstory with this specific character, and we get some more mystery about the missing kids. We get just a little bit more of a nugget of information, and then something really crazy happens, and we're just like, what the hell just happened? And then we go to the next character, and that sort of repeats throughout the film. So it feels like it's a roller coaster a little bit, where the anticipation of going up on the coaster is there, that anticipation finally dies down. You get that adrenaline rush as you're going down, and then it hikes back up again. And it's that same type of effect throughout the story. And it could annoy some. If you saw Barbarian and you didn't really like the way that that movie was paced out, then this probably won't win you over, so just kind of keep that in mind. Also, once the big reveal happens, when we finally get those answers to what the hell is going on in this town, it does remove the mystery pretty much immediately, and it can feel like the final act seems a little less intriguing now, because now we know everything. I still really enjoyed the final act though, and I thought it was a fantastic resolution to the overall story personally, but there was a slight moment of, I guess, deflation where I kind of wish the intrigue kept going a little bit. I kind of like expected another big reveal to happen that unfortunately just never really came. Okay, this next portion is the spoiler part of the review. So this is going to be your spoiler warning. If you do not want to know these plot details and what the big reveal is, I highly recommend that you skip this portion of the review and go to my final score, or go see the movie, come back and finish this video. Okay, let's talk about what is behind the mystery of these missing kids, or rather, who? Well, to answer that question, let's get into why there was only one kid by the name of Alex in Justine's class who showed up that day that all of those other kids went missing. Well, it's not some random weird thing that happened, and Alex is essentially responsible for these kids going missing, but he had some help. Throughout the film, Justine and Archer see like flashes of this really creepy old woman in their dreams, and we eventually find out that this woman is real and her name is Gladys. She's supposedly Alex's aunt, and she has decided to kind of take it upon herself to spend her remaining days in his home with his family. She's a really unsettling woman to look at too, with this like really horrible red wig and like a terrible makeup job. Well, this aunt is secretly a witch and is trying to find a way to stave off her death and remain youthful. So she asks Alex to bring to her a belonging from every kid in her class. So he decides to take all of their name tags to give to her in hopes that she will eventually leave him alone once the spell is complete. So yes, witchcraft is responsible for these kids going missing. She makes this spell that hypnotizes these kids to run out of their homes at the same time and bring them all to Alex's house to feed off of their youthful energy. She also holds Alex's parents hostage by performing the same spell on them, so Alex is essentially a prisoner to this woman, forced to keep her secret so that his parents are spared. Amy Madigan is the actress that plays Gladys. I'm not too familiar with her in terms of roles, but she was really creepy in this movie and had this very unsettling energy where she looked like she could snap at any moment and force you to become her puppet pretty much forever. So I really like the way that this reveal and Gladys slowly revealed themselves, and it was honestly the last thing I would have expected to be the cause of all of this. I also really like the way that the film ended, where Alex finds a way to counteract the spell, where the kids all actually go after Gladys and they chase her throughout the neighborhood and literally tear her to pieces with their bare hands. It's not the gnarliest thing I've seen in terms of like gore, but it's definitely kind of shocking to look at. Alex finally breaks the spell to free everyone, but it's not so cut and dry as that. Archer is at Alex's house as well with Justine once they, find out everything that's going on, and once Arthur finds his son finally and embraces him, he's not fully there. He's not speaking, he has this blank expression on his face, and maybe it's the trauma of just kind of being a prisoner in your own body, but it could also be that maybe this spell has like lasting, lingering effects where these kids just can't speak, or they're just starting to speak like maybe a year or two after the incident has happened. Some of these kids will never be the same again. Even Alex's parents, despite the spell being broken, are institutionalized and essentially vegetables. So like there's no happy endings in this story. So I like that the resolution wasn't just some neatly tied bow. With that being said, I'm going to give Weapons a score of 5 out of 5. The reveal may leave some a little deflated once the mystery wears off, and the pacing could be a little bit of a roller coaster with how the narrative is told, but this is easily Zach Cregger's best film to date. The creepy tone and mystery surrounding this event of missing children is so well told, and the unconventional way that the story unfolds with different character perspectives was masterfully done and kept me engaged and locked in until the very end. I know he's going to be tackling Resident Evil next, but apparently it's supposed to be an original story set in the universe. We won't be following Leon or Claire or Chris or Jill. That has me a little worried personally. I know Netflix tried that and didn't turn out so well for them, but hopefully Cregger can make something unique but still have the Resident Evil DNA. I mean, Resident Evil 7 was pretty much like that. It brought the scares, but it still had that Resident Evil DNA with it, even though it kind of felt like a soft reboot because we were playing as Ethan Winters. We'll just have to wait and see though. Those are my thoughts, of course, but now I want to know what you guys thought of Weapons. Have you seen it yet? And if you did, what did you think? Also, how do you feel about Cregger adapting an original story set in the Resident Evil universe? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe, tick that notification bell so you can always be notified when my next trailer reaction or movie review drops on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to stay classy, stay geeky, and I'll catch you in the next video.
This is where the story really starts.